Hey, my name is Jethro Sagers, and I am a senior customer PM for education. In this session of 30 minutes, we're going to talk about the introduction to bots in Teams. If you want to reach out to me, you can do that through using Twitter, and my Twitter handle is @YesAgers. What we're going to look for in these 30 minutes is four things. First of all, we're going to look at bots and why bots are important in the collaboration and communication methodology of today. We're really going to deep dive in the use cases that you will see for bots in education. Both for K-12 and higher education, you're going to see that using bots and new chat-related technology is actually beneficial. So we're going to do a deep dive into that. I'm also going to show you how easy it is to create a bot from scratch in less than 30 minutes. So that way you can actually use this as a step-by-step guide to go back to your organization and start working with bots. And then finally, we're going to look at what additional information there is for you to see how we can actually use bots and how you can do it in a very easy way. So let's get started first with what are bots. And when we think about bots, we always think about very complex algorithms, but in reality, they're just automated, intelligent programs. And they're actually providing us a number of things, but most importantly, it's information in a natural and comprehensive language. So we're going to use pretty much our natural language, the way that we do conversations, the way that we normally would ask a human being to provide information. And bots are intelligent enough to both understand what we're asking, but also provide it in an equally as comprehensive language back to us. Of course, we only want information that is interesting to the user based on queries or status updates that are related to the person who is requesting the information. And then finally, it needs to be in an easy to find location. It can't be something that you have to look for before you can start asking those questions. So those four components really make up what a modern bot is. And that is something that we're going to start exploring in this session. But why are we using bots? So when we look at it, how were we used to finding information? And you're all going to recognize it if we look for information, either if it's on the internet or it's on a specific website, what you're going to see is that we always need to look with search terms. It doesn't matter if it's on Bing, on Google, or even more complex search like a SharePoint search or even a website search. You have to know how to use search. You have to know what the operators are. You need to know really how to use that search to find the information that is relevant to you. Additionally, what is also a problem is that the search engine doesn't really know anything about you. They don't know your user context, so they're only going to be able to provide you generic information based on your search term. That way of technology, that way of finding information has changed. When we look at how we find information now, we are using more our natural language. And it doesn't matter if you have Alexa, Google, Siri, or even Cortana. What we're going to do is ask those virtual assistants, those bots, to provide us with information. It could be, hey Alexa, what is the recipe for an apple pie? Or hey Cortana, when does my plane leave? We're not going to go anymore to the scheduling of the airline to find when that information is. When we need to know how long traffic is going to be on our way to the airport, we're not going to go to traffic.com, provide in our source, provide in our destination, and do the calculation on our own. No, nowadays, you can actually get the information just based on a status update. Maybe you've seen it, but if you have a meeting in Outlook, for example, actually Cortana is going to tell you is like, be careful, your appointment is at that location, traffic is heavy, it takes about 25 minutes to get there. You might want to take off and just make sure you get there in time. And this is, of course, our virtual assistants, but we also see more and more on websites that pop up coming with a, let's call it a sales bot or a marketing bot, where they're going to ask, is there anything I can do for you? What are you looking for? People who write these bots don't want you to go in and use the search box, because we know once we have to search for something, they leave. We go away from that website. So that's not something that we're looking for. So the way that we're finding information, the way that we're looking for information has changed. We're looking at it more from a conversation perspective. And good bots, for example, that are a part now of Microsoft Teams as well, are going to accommodate that in a very specific way. So if we know that people find information in a more conversational way, what are some of the use cases that we're going to see specifically in education? Well, you can actually, and this is just to trigger some ideas, to give you some ideas of what we've seen both in universities and in K-12 school districts, where a more conversational approach is being used. So let's start with the students first, because there's a lot of information there that we can provide through bots. And also students are more used to using technology that is cutting edge, like bots. People who are in staff and faculty kind of still rely on search engines and kind of rely on that good old search box that you find on websites. Students nowadays, they're so ingrained with using virtual assistants that using a bot is so natural to them. So when we look about, or when you think about students, what are typical bots that you can find in a student environment? Well, think about when you're a first year student. You go to the university, you go to college, or maybe you're in high school, right? You're prepping to get ready for your studies, and you need information. Where are you going to go? Where do you find all that information? Where do you find the policies around your dorm? Where do you find the cafeteria? Where do you find where you need to get your books? So one of the things that we see quite often as a bot scenario is just a bot that provides new students with information they might need, dedicated to first year students to make sure that their onboarding process is as seamless as possible. And then you can start extending it, right? We talked about first year students, new students, but you can also provide a lot of campus practical information through bots. And in the demo that I'm going to show you in a bit, that is really, for example, that we're going to focus on. If you need to be at a certain auditorium for a lecture, how are you going to find it? Where is that information about that campus? So a bot specifically can actually provide a student that information. But also think about social student life. If you want to know, for example, where the next football game is, there's always a bot available that you can ask it. But if you want to know, for example, which student is in your same class, you can do that as well. And then one that I think is super important that we tend to overlook a lot, and this is something that my coworker Dominic Williamson is working on with some of his customers, is a student mental health bot. When students are stressed and they need some additional support, where are they going? Where do you find it? Right? Using or dealing with mental health problems has sometimes a stigma, and you don't always want to reach out to a physical person to get that. So having that first interactions with a bot might be something that is interesting to them. So that are some of the scenarios that you might have specifically with your students. When we look at faculty, is if you're a teacher in the first period of biology, maybe you want to provide a Q&A bot specific around that topic. Maybe you want to provide a bot that tells students about osmosis, or photosynthesis, or whatever it may be that fits within your curriculum. Another scenario where you can use bots for is, for example, lecture scheduling. I already mentioned it with the campus practical information, but if you're using certain auditorium, you want to make sure that people are aware where it's at. And nothing is as easy as going to a bot and saying, hey bot, where is this auditorium? Also, when we think about bots, task reminders, kind of like what I brought up in the beginning, when you need to go to the airport or to a meeting, for example, and it reminds you that traffic is heavy. Those are specific bots for a task reminder that can easily help you, and add to top it off some bots that will find a specific meeting spot that is available for all the people that you work with. And then finally, from a institution perspective, think about new employee onboarding. If you're new, kind of like a new student, and you have to get used to all the policies within the university or the school district, it's not an easy thing to do. It might become a little bit overwhelming even. So that is exactly what a bot can help you with, is providing that information to new employees to make their onboarding a lot easier. Also think about vacation day requests, think about benefit information, and finally also FAQ consolidation. And that's something I'm going to show a little bit more in depth in the demo that we're going to build. But every school district, every university, every college has multiple FAQs depending on the topic. So if you want to find information, you will already need to know what the FAQs that you're actually looking for. And within that FAQ, you need to find what the specific question is that is most relevant to you. And if there's multiple sections, the answer of the question, then you have to go in and see what is relevant to you. How do we bring all these FAQs together in one bot? And that's exactly what we're going to do in our demo. So what does it look like from an end user perspective? So what I've done here is really created a simulation, and I named my bot the Ask Me Anything bot. So every type of information that we need is a part of that bot. And you see that it really starts conversational. I say hello to the bot, ask how the bot is responsive, tells me exactly what I want to know, and then I get into the information that I need. Like for example, where's the Contoso Auditorium? And you see that I get an image there. Of course, being polite as I am, I thank the bot, but I also can click on the map that I see there and I get more in detail where exactly that auditorium is. So I don't need to go to my campus information on some website. I don't need to go to contact details, try to find where the map is, or I don't need to go to maps.bing.com, fill in the address to find out where that specific auditorium is, if it's already even on Bing. Using this bot, I can just use Teams, start a conversation, ask for the information that I need, and get it back. Now, how easy or how difficult is this now to set up? And you're going to see that it's pretty easy. I'm going to show you how you can build exactly what you see here with 0 line of code. There's no code involved whatsoever. So how does this work? What do I need? So there's a number of services that you're going to need. The first one is what we call our QnaMaker, and the URL is QnaMaker.ai. And that is going to be the location where you're going to store your question and answer pairs. That's where you're going to store all the questions that you think your end users are going to be asking and the questions that you want to provide. We're also going to show you how you can reuse all these FAQs that you already have available on your website so that you don't have to start from scratch. Also, we need the Azure bot services, and you're going to see it's a lot easier than just, you don't really need to know a lot about Azure. A lot of the information is pre-populated for you, so you're going to see it's a very easy thing to do. Of course, you need the people who need information. They're going to be your end users of your specific bot. And of course, like I said in the beginning, what is one of the characteristics of a good bot is easy to find, easy accessible, and that is exactly what you can have with Teams. And that's one of the important things why we always stress that everybody has access to Teams. If you provide access to Teams, they can start up the conversation. They can make sure that they can ask the questions. And if you make even a bot available in the team itself, then it becomes very obvious that being able to create a team is very important in this scenario. So how does it work? Well, we start in our QnaMaker.ai. And so pretty much what you see there is we're going to create a knowledge base. And that knowledge base is exactly what it says. It is a content of knowledge. It is a combination of questions and answers. But what we're going to do in the beginning, we are going to create a Q&A service. And that is a service that lives on Azure. When I click on this button, I will be automatically taken to Azure. Azure will be filled in with all the information that I need. And pretty much what you need to do here is give it a name. How do you want your bot to be named? And also what subscription that you want to use. Then finally, it's deciding how many requests do you think you're going to get. And then where do you want this to live? So you know that we have multiple Azure data centers within the US, but globally as well. So pick the data center that is local to you or makes more sense to you. So that way you know where your FAQ or Q&A is being deployed, and that way you can actually work up to that information. When you're done, you're going to see that automatically that information is being populated in your organization, and you're going to see there that my Ask Me Anything bot is now available. I'm going to name my knowledge base, and now I need to populate it. And here's where you can actually reuse a lot of the information that you've done already. So you see that you can provide URLs. So in my example, I'm going to combine two FAQs, and you can add as many FAQs as you want. And that's going to be the content of my question and answer bot. So I'm going to consolidate all my FAQs, my FAQ for employees, for institution, for students, for campus life, social life. All these FAQs that I've built over the years are going to be consolidated in one bot. If that is your strategy that you want to use, you can still split them up in multiple knowledge base, but that's up to you to decide based on what your business case may be. And then finally, you can also add a file name. That could be a Word document, a CSV file. Again, you can reuse what you already have. And then finally, if you want to, you can also provide your bot with a little bit of a character. And here's some interesting characteristics that you can give your bot. You can make it professional, enthusiastic, witty. So that's up to you. That's if you want to give it some flavor. But when you're done with it, you're going to get this. And so you see that in this case, everything is being downloaded from those FAQs, and the QnaMaker actually turned it into something that is usable from an FAQ perspective. So if you look at number one is a typical example of a question and an answer pair. You see, where's my auditorium, my Contoso auditorium, and you see that I'm actually linking to an image. Below that, you see there's another FAQ I've loaded in, and that is, for example, what is the difference between a 32-bit and a 64-bit of Windows with the right information? And if you want to create new Q&A pairs, that's where number 2 comes in. So you see there where the Q&A pair is, and so you can update them manually, add them manually if you see fit. So if you get information from your end user saying, hey, we want to add a few questions, can we do this? Absolutely, you go and do that there. And then of course, we also have search the knowledge base. So if you want to see if a certain question is covered, you can do that there as well. When you're done with everything, we need to save it and train it. So we're going to make it intelligent so that everything can be picked up. And then finally, if you want to test it before you turn it into Azure, you can do that as well. And there's a test button. So now that we're done with this, success, my service has been deployed. And now we're going to create a bot on Azure that will communicate with the Q&A maker. So we click on the create bot button, and now we're just going to give it a name. Again, where it needs to live, pretty much the same as the Q&A service in the beginning, but this is really the bot that we're going to be using. When you're done with the creation, this is what you're going to get. And what is special here is that you have a number of channels where you can deploy this bot. We, of course, want to deploy it into Teams, but if you want to deploy this same bot in your website, you can totally do so. There's, like you can see, there's multiple channels where you can provide this bot and make that available to your end users. In our case, we're going to use Microsoft Teams. When we click on Teams, it will be opened in our Teams environment, so we can go in and test it. And as you can see, I get the same experience as what I've shown you in the beginning. So now I know that this bot actually is functional, works. And so now we can start thinking about, how do we make this available to my whole organization? How do we make this available to every single end user I might have? So to do that, I'm going to need a special application. It's called App Studio. And still, like you've seen, still haven't written a single line of code yet. And trust me, I will not have to. I go into my App Studio. I'm going into Manifest Editor, which is the second tab on the top, and I'm going to create a new application. I'm going to fill in all my information that I see on my app details. And then on the left-hand side, you see under capabilities, you see bots. When I select that, I'm going to say I already created a bot in Azure, and the only thing I need to do there is connect it to a different bot ID, and that is the application ID that you get out of Azure. You just copy paste it from your Azure portal, make it available here in the bot ID, and then you select what the configuration of your bot actually is. You will define that it is a messaging bot. If you want to support calling bot as well, you can. And then, of course, what is the scope? Where is that bot going to live? Is it a personal bot? Is it a team bot? Is it a group chat bot? Or maybe a combination of all three. You just select what you want it to use, and then you click on Save. Finally, you have the test and distribute. And so you have three options there. First option is you install it just for yourself, so you can use it, you can test it as the end user, not necessarily from the Azure portal. Finally, you have the download, and that's the one if you want to start distributing it through your organization, you can download the bot package and make it available to everybody. And then if you have created such an amazing bot that you feel that everybody in the Microsoft ecosystem should be using this, then you can also submit it to be a part of the Team App Store. Then we will go through it to see if it's up to par with the quality expectations that we have of bots. But if you have a bot like that, by all means, submit it. Then after verification and certification, it will be a part of the store, and other people can use your bot also in their organization. Now we have the bot, we've created a Q&A maker, we've set up the bot service in Azure, and now it's time to make it available on the left-hand side in the navigation of Teams. If we want to make it available, pre-pin it, let's call it, for our users. Going back to the scenario, for example, with campus information, wouldn't it be cool that when people log into Teams, that they have that bot available as an application in their left navigation? Well, that's exactly what you can do. So one of the things that you have available in your Teams administration is what we call setup policies. And in your setup policies, you can actually define which applications are going to be available on your left navigation. As you see here, I've created a bot called Getting Started, and that is going to provide all the information specifically for first-year students. And so that way, everybody who is a first-year student will immediately see that bot, will click on it and get the bot experience that I've shown you in the beginning. So you can define exactly what applications are being pinned. The only thing that we need to do when we create a policy like that is to assign it to the right users. And you can do that as well in the team management portal. So what we've done is now we've created a bot that provides us with all the information based on existing FAQs. I didn't have to write a single line of code. It was just clicking, copy pasting the right application IDs, making them available in Microsoft Teams. And now I've even made it available as a pre-pinned app in my Microsoft Teams environment. So if I log in, I exactly get what you're seeing in this specific policy. I get all these different buttons, and the top left button will be getting started. So that's the basic for bots. That's the basic what you can do with bots as it is today. Of course, there's always ways to take it to the next level, and there's a few of them that I want to point out. The first one is one that we released, is called the FAQ bot, and it's a GitHub open source project, and the URL is available there. And so what we've done here is we've extended QnaMaker, that when the bot doesn't know the answer to a specific question, it's being escalated to a human person so that they can pick it up and provide you with the right information where necessary. The second thing is being able to understand more and understand the intent of the natural language. Sometimes we want to understand more. We want to have more complex language. We have a service for that as well. It's called Language Understanding, also short as LUIS, and the URL is lewis.ai. And it really provides you to get more insights in specific language usage. And then build your own bot. If you're a coder, if you're a developer, if you're somebody who wants to start writing code to build your own bot, by all means, we have a bot SDK that you can use, and Visual Studio is definitely the way to go. And as always, we have a number of partners that we love to work with who are building amazing bots. One that I like to point out is AdBot, and then that's really a no-code bot platform for teams. They're doing an amazing job with allowing you, kind of like what QnaMaker do, but they take it really to the next level. And their URL is adbot.io. Really something that you want to check out and see if they can actually deliver what you want to do. But it's really no code, very important for non-developers. Now, how do we get started? How do we continue from here? So here's some things that you want to know. So first of all, where do we get started? Well, start with using Microsoft Teams for your group collaboration and extend it with what we've seen today around bots. Get that available, make it available. URL is aka.ms get teams. Evaluate, look at what we have from collateral. We have a website which we call Microsoft Teams University. URL is aka.ms Teams University, and we'll provide all the information you need to deliver Microsoft Teams within your organization, both in K-12 and higher education. Learn. We do regularly webinars. We're doing regularly virtual events where you're going to learn about new technology within Teams. Make sure you keep track of those. Make sure you register. And we take it to staff, students, researchers, and you find those on aka.ms Teams EDU webinars. And finally, if you're interested in learning more about bots and Teams, we have a lot of documentation on our bots doc. So go to docs.microsoft.com and you will find a lot of information specifically around bots. So this was 30 minutes, really introduction into bots, showing you how easy it is to create a bot from scratch. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We would love to hear what you're struggling with or what your ideas are around creating a bot. If you liked the session, keep following us, provide feedback, and if you have an amazing bot that you build on your own, let us know. Always love to hear more about it and see what it does. And again, if you have more questions, just reach out to us. We're always happy to help.